side-by-side academic study in parallel with hands-on work experience, working with lots of different companies all of the time and having to figure out that balance. Again, met a great bunch of people that I worked with in Newcastle, because that's where I stayed, and got to the end of the 3 years, decided actually that I didn't want to be a chartered accountant, and I hadn't really stumbled across any exciting companies that I wanted to work for at this point, so I decided to move down to London. Actually, I should add in that before I started my chartered accountancy, I went travelling for a year. Now, a lot of people do that before or after they start working or just after university. I would thoroughly recommend that. Great life experience. I worked my way around the world for 10 months, from South America to New Zealand, Australia, all the way through Southeast Asia, working in coffee shops, to whitewater rafting parks, to being a waiter, being a barman, enough to top up the funds to move on to the next place. I met a whole bunch of friends and people who I'm still in contact with today through that. So if you're still trying to figure it out, I would thoroughly suggest going away travelling. Doesn't have to be somewhere exotic, but just again putting yourself out of your comfort zone and trying something new. You always come away with really good experiences, even though it might seem tough at the time. Anyway, back to chartered accountancy. Moved to London, moved in the big smoke, pretty big move. Again, thrown myself out of things and that I was less familiar with. Really enjoyed London. I guess I moved from Scotland to Newcastle, then Newcastle to London, so gradually adjusting to the better weather with my fair skin being from Scotland. However, London is nothing to be fearful about. It comes with this sort of stereotype of big smoke and everybody's unfriendly and arrogant and, I don't know, impatient, and it's just not true. London is a great place to work. I'm still there now, and it's also a window onto the rest of Europe, and if not the rest of the world. So if you're thinking about maybe not just working in the UK and you want to be travelling, London's a great hub for that. Anyway, finished with chartered accountancy, wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I was working for an accountancy firm that had lots of different departments which did lots of different things. I moved into one of them called it was corporate finance, advisory business. So I began basically giving advice on when people wanted to buy and sell companies, and we would give them a sort of strategic review of what the competitive landscape was like, what the potential revenue growth was, and just a lot of sort of strategic and commercial advice on transactions. Really enjoyed that, but didn't really enjoy the consultancy side of things because you don't really know where you're going to be every week. So it was a great experience. We went from a team of 5 to a team of 20 within about 2 years. Really good fun. Again, kind of got to the end of it after 2 years and said, well, this has been loads of fun, but it's just not me for the rest of my life. So what else is out there? And then, to be honest, I kind of stumbled upon fund of funds. I should have, or typically what happens, people of my experience, so chartered accountancy, corporate finance and commercial advice, they generally go into direct investing. Direct investing is when you invest directly into companies and grow them and sell them on. Instead, I stumbled across what is called fund of funds, and fund of funds basically oversee and are the sort of provide money to the people who go and buy companies. So we're kind of like a layer above the actual buying and selling of companies, but what it does do, it gives us a really global remit and international perspective on what's going on. So to give you some examples, today working in my fund of funds, we invest across the world. So we've got offices in Chicago, in San Francisco, in Singapore, in Beijing, and London. And we all talk about the managers which we back to go out and buy companies, and on a Monday morning everybody dials in and talks about what transactions are going on. So if you think about Menlo Park, which is Silicon Valley, where all the tech bubble is and all the tech companies, so you've probably heard of eBay and Google and Facebook. Well, those are the type of companies that we have money in through some of the managers that we've selected and given money to invest in companies. They're not all successful. Those are just a few that have been successful in the past now. We invest in all types of companies, so really big companies like, you've probably heard of the AA, and down to sort of smaller mid-sized companies. So there's a full range there and a breadth of different industries and different geographies. And just with that in mind, I love traveling, and I love meeting and dealing with interesting people, and it's really true diversity. I travel a lot, but it's not every week. I'd say I probably spend 3-4 days of every month traveling to a different country. At the moment I cover Europe. I'm just back from the US. I'm hoping to go to Africa later on this year. And what I do is I sit down with managers who say, hey Ross, I've got these really interesting companies that I want to go and buy. This is the companies I've bought and sold in the past, so hey, I can do it. And it's up to me to judge whether or not I really want to give this guy and his group of work colleagues a certain amount of money to go on away and spend. And if I decide yes, then I monitor them over a period of about 5 years and make sure that they're doing what they said on the tin, buying and selling companies and giving us our money back. It's a lot of fun. It's always a bumpy ride. Nothing ever goes as you expect it to, but that's why I love it. You never know what's going to happen the next day. You never know who you're going to meet, if they're going to be interesting. Not everybody is. There's a lot of people who are duds. You've got to kiss a lot of toads to meet the princesses. So I'm not going to lie and say it's absolutely fantastic at work every day. It's not. Sometimes there are a lot of toads, and sometimes you've got to do a lot of work to find the princesses. You've got to do a lot of writing, a lot of analysis, a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but that's just reality. I think that goes with everywhere that you do work. Every job's got a bad side, every job's got a good side, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing now. And as I say, if you had asked me when I was 15, 16, 17, when I was deciding what university I was applying for, I'd never have been able to tell you where I've ended up now. However, in retrospect, I think I've definitely not taken the straight path. I've been kind of here, there and everywhere, and I've just taken a lot of experiences from whatever I've done, sort of reflected, always stuck to things that I enjoyed, people who I wanted to work with, and I've kind of ended up in a pretty happy place. If I was going to give you any advice, do what you want and what you really enjoy doing. Things you enjoy doing tend to be things that you're good at. The two generally go hand in hand. Put yourself in difficult circumstances. It's not necessarily going to be a lot of fun, but you'll probably learn a lot from it, and you might discover things that you didn't know that you were very good at. And lastly, but probably most importantly, it all comes down to people. It's people. So make sure you work and spend the most amount of time with people that you get on with, because at the end of the day, you want to have a good time. And if you can sit down, inspire and have a good time and fun time with your work colleagues, then you'll end up making the right choice and having an enjoyable time whatever you choose.